Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth from Flowers Talk Tivoli, and I wanted to show you how to make a really simple spring outdoor planter for your home. So I have already cleaned out our planters that we did in the winter. They had all the gross greens and everything that had kind of gone really brown, and now that it's getting a little bit milder, it's time to freshen things up for spring. So my container here still needs some soil in it, so usually it's good to put in some new soil when you're putting in your spring plants. So you can just use a Pro Mix or Miracle Grow, a really good organic fertilizer. And fill that to about 3 or 4 inches from the top of your container. Mix in any of those big crunchy pieces. Add some air to the soil by kind of shaking it up and moving it around. Get your hands in there and really break up all those clumps. Leftover magnolia leaf. So make sure it's not too dense and packed down. There's not a lot of organic matter in there left over from your winter planter. Clean that all out and refresh with some new soil. You don't have to completely change out the soil, but it's great to add in some new soil that's going to give a little bit more life to your spring plants. And then if you're doing this now, you probably don't have to change up the soil for summer. You can just use the stuff that you've been using for spring. So with spring planters, they do look quite small compared to winter planters. Winter planters have the big tall greens in them, the big pieces of birch. We can get them really nice and showy. A lot of the spring plants are a lot smaller, so this is just something's going to add a punch of color, and it's going to last for about 6 weeks or so until it's time at the end of May to start putting in those summer plants that are going to last through to about September. So the mix I have today is I have some really nice 6-inch daffodils. So they give some really nice yellow color to the planter. So I'm just going to put those to the side, nestle, make a little hole for them, wiggle them in a little bit, and then gently put the soil around the base of the plant. Don't push it down and make it really dense. It's difficult for the plants to get water that way. So make sure that they're not loose and moving around, but just nice and secure in there without being too tight. Then I also have this really beautiful orange ornithogalum, also called Star of Bethlehem. We get this quite often as a cut flower at Christmas in the white, but the orange is really stunning too. And they come in yellow, white, and orange, and it gives a nice pop of color. So I'm going to put that guy over here, nice and showy. And then I have another daffodil here that I'm going to put at the back. So just kind of a bit of the backdrop. I like to keep the colors of in the planter kind of blocked together, so it's not yellow all over the place. I'm going to keep yellow here, orange here, and then I'm going to put some of the purple poppies at the front. So it's nice to do a mix of some things that have already opened and some things that are still tight. Then you're going to get some more longevity out of your spring planter. Then I have this really great asparagus fern. It's a bit more of a frost hardy fern. This one and the Kimberly Queen, a little bit more resilient, great for planters. And if we don't get if we don't get hit too hard with frost, I should be able to keep this asparagus fern in the planter and be able to use it for my summer planting as well. So I'm going to put that one kind of to the side a little bit. So he's going to fill in and cascade and go all the way down, especially over the summer. Then I may put some lime green potato vine to balance that one out on the other side. So really nice and fresh. And I have these really beautiful, they call them blue, the purple pansies, and they also call them ice poppies at this time too. It's just a frost hardy terminology for pansies. So they're really tiny, but they will give a really nice shot of color. So I like to put those more towards the front as opposed to burying them in the sides or putting them at the back of the planter. You'll notice I'm going higher at the back and I'm kind of bringing it forward a little bit. It's just because the spring plants don't tend to spread out too much. They don't have as much time. So where we're placing them is pretty much where they're going to be. It's not like the summer ones where they're going to get really big and lush and they're going to spill over and fill out the planters. So that's why we go pretty full with our spring planters as well, again, because they don't have the time to establish themselves. 6 weeks is such a short season for spring, but we're so happy to have it. And just, again, doing a little cluster looks cute with them too. And then they've got a nice pop of color there. It looks really nice against the orange and the yellow. And then for a little bit of height, I'm just going to use the branchy pussy willow. You could put in some cherry blossom branches, some forsythia, but the pussy willow dries and lasts the longest. There's no maintenance to it. Gives a little bit of height for us, which is nice. And again, just spreading those out, putting them more towards the back of the planter. So this planter should be fine if it goes down to like 1 or 2 degrees at night. I'd be a little bit nervous if it was going down below 0. That's when I would probably suggest putting it in the garage if you can. When it's closer to the house, it'll be easier to keep it warm when we do have those chance of frost. But once your long-range forecast is looking to hover around 1 or 2 degrees, these plants will do perfectly fine for it. So I would give this guy a good water. I'd water around each of the plants. I wouldn't put water on the actual plants themselves, just around the bases of them. Again, if it does get cold, I don't want any of that to freeze and damage the plants. So this should last me for about 6 weeks or so. The ornithogallum will continue to bloom. There'll be lots of new growth coming from it. The daffodils still have lots more little buds in there. The pansies will fill out a little bit, and they do have the little buds to them. And then that asparagus fern is really going to hang down, and it's going to cascade and be really beautiful, and I'm going to be able to use that for summer. So we're getting lots of different plants in at the store. We'll be able to give you some suggestions as to which will look good together, which ones will work in your containers. So come by the shop and we'd be happy to help you put together your spring planters. And if you can't make it in, give us a call and we can swing by your house, and the urn elves can put together your outdoor urns for you, and you come home and all of a sudden you've got spring. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon at the shop.